Hello, hello. It is your girl Lisa from Be Made Whole and Talk Time with Lisa, coming to you with your Work on You Wednesday. Gonna hold off. I'm so excited to be able to be live with you guys today, and I think we're gonna have a really great Work on You Wednesday today. So, um, if I've been doing a lot of traveling this summer. Most of the traveling has been with our oldest two, the twins, preparing them. They're seniors going into their senior year, preparing them for hopefully and prayerfully being able to continue their athletic careers in college. So we've been visiting a lot of colleges and this summer, and going to a lot of football camps and things of that nature. And what we've seen is, with most times when you travel to unfamiliar places, you use your GPS. And so today we're going to talk about emotional detours, but I want to use a scenario to get us there. What do I mean when I say emotional detours? So, if you're traveling to an unfamiliar place, most of the time people you use your GPS or your navigation system. In the past, I remember my dad and even my father-in-law using maps, like the handheld maps. But now we have navigation systems and GPSs on our phones and things. And sometimes I watch my husband, and if we are going to a location, he'll zoom in on the navigation or the GPS, and he'll, hit buttons to try to find better routes. We may take a detour because it says this route is 5 minutes faster, or this route is 25 minutes faster. And so he zooms in and he looks and he sees that path, another path, looks better than the path that the GPS or the navigation system has us going on. And I remember a particular time we were going into Georgia this year, and it was a path. They said that there was traffic, so it took us another way, and it looked like it was going to be a better way for us to go. It appeared that, taking that detour would be better, but once we got on that detour, man, I'm telling you, we were in the country. We were on back roads, and, we didn't know where we were. It was 2-lane roads the entire way, and then it started raining. So what appeared to be a good detour, what looked good, didn't turn out to be the right move. It wasn't the right detour. And so when we talk about emotional detours, sometimes something can look better. It can look better, and so you take that path, but it's not the best path for you. And so I want to share just a little of my testimony and a little of my story. A couple of years ago, it seemed like, or a few years ago, it seemed like my career path was changing, and not for the better. It just seemed like I kept getting knocked down, and so a couple of years ago, I took a blow in my career, and emotionally, I was angry, I was bitter, I was frustrated and fed up. That's where I was emotionally. And so the path that I should have stayed on, or that I should have been on, I made an emotional decision to take a detour. I made an emotional decision to take a detour. Now, because God is so wonderful, the detour that I made wasn't a bad detour. It was a good detour for me. It turned out to be great, but it wasn't the path that I was supposed to be on. I made an emotional decision. I made an emotional detour. So I didn't follow God's navigation for me. And when you can admit that, God can use you and he can work in your life. When you can admit that you maybe made an emotional detour, like you've gotten off the path because you were angry or you were frustrated or you were upset, when you can admit that you've made that emotional detour, then God, just like a GPS, when you take a detour that is not what the navigation system says, what does your GPS say? It says rerouting. Rerouting. And I'm going to try to hold it together, but as I'm saying this thing, I feel it. It'll say rerouting. So when you get off the path, when you're in your car, when you're taking a trip or whatever, your GPS will say rerouting. It's trying to get you to go back. Unfortunately, I didn't do that. I took my emotional detour because I was angry about things that were going on in my career. I was bitter about the way things had happened with my career. And I ended up in a place that wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't the path because I took a detour. Here's how God works. Just like that GPS, and it tells you to reroute, and you eventually end up in the location that you were supposed to be. That's what happens when you make that emotional detour. Sometimes you have to go and you'll be out there. You made a, decision based on your emotions, and you'll end up on a back road like we did. You end up going the long way around, but you'll get there. And so when I tell you, when you take these emotional detours, we all have done it. Maybe you haven't. I have. But the good thing about God is that he'll guide you back. He'll guide you back. He'll put you back on the right path. And let me tell you a little bit of my story. 2 years ago, I lost my job. And I seemed like I had been demoted. And then I eventually lost my job. But then I was given an option to transfer to a school that was about 45 minutes away. And because I was angry, because I was bitter and frustrated and hurt, I decided that I no longer would go that way. I wasn't doing it. So I left and I went somewhere else. And I stayed on that job for 2 years, and it was good for me. It was good for me. God was working some things out in me. He was working some things out in me. So he allowed me to take that emotional detour. But this year, I lost my job out of the blue. I was called into the office and handed a pink slip. And they're not really pink. I don't know why they call them that. But anyway, I lost my job. And it wasn't because I wasn't a good teacher, because I won't let you take that from me. I know I'm great at what I do. So I didn't really have an explanation on why I lost my job. But it wasn't for me to know. It was God saying, I have to put you back on the right path of where you were supposed to go when you made an emotional detour. Guys, guess where I'm going to teach? I'm going across the street from the place that 2 years ago I was being transferred to. God has a way of getting you back on track. The place where I'm going now is where I need to be. It's where I'm supposed to be. So although that emotional detour that I changed paths out of my own emotions. God said, you know what? I'll let you stay there for a while. But now I need you to get back on track. When we make emotional detours, guys, it happens to us. But don't fight when you hear rerouting. Don't fight God rerouting you to get you back on track. Yes, we've all made emotional detours. We've all made decisions out of our emotions. It may not be your career. That's my story. It may be a friendship. It may be a relationship with a family member or a significant other. It could be your health. We've all made decisions out of our emotions. We've made those detours that we weren't supposed to make. Sometimes you have to feel it. Like when we took that trip this summer, sometimes you have to feel those bumps in the roads and you go on those back roads. And then sometimes God is gracious enough to allow you to detour, and he works the stuff out of you while you're on the detour. While you're on that back road, he works that thing out of you. And then he says, rerouting back to where you're supposed to be. When you take those emotional detours, guys, be okay and lean into the rerouting. When you hear God say, I need you here, don't fight it. Take the path that he tells you to take, no matter what it looks like. It could look good over here, but if God tells you to take that path, you take that path. Don't make any more emotional detours. Don't make decisions out of your emotions. It'll get you off track and you'll end up on a back road. Let God reroute you. If you've done that, if you made an emotional detour, let God reroute you now and get you back on the right path. Don't make decisions out of your emotions. Don't make those detours. Stay on the path that he has set for you. It's the best path. He's going to get you to where you need to go. He's going to get you there. You have to trust him. No more emotional detours for you. No more emotional detours for me. I love you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful Work on You Wednesday. Rerouting, because I want you to be made whole. This is your girl Lisa from Be Made Whole Ministries and Talk Time with Lisa, telling you to have a wonderful Work on You Wednesday. No more emotional detours. Love you guys. Bye-bye.